Hello and welcome to Design Basics. In this video, we're going to go through the rectangular pattern function. We're going to do two different styles. One is going to be sketch-based and the other is going to be feature-based. So to start off with, we're just going to make a sketch on this model that I made already. And I'm going to make a circle that's going to be, let's say, well, 3/4 of an inch in size. And then essentially all I'm going to do is I'm going to project the cut edges here. And then I'm going to dimension this to just be offset from the wall by the diameter. Again, just a good rule of thumb when it comes to circles. Now that we have that done, what we can do is go to the rectangular pattern feature. You have some options here. The first one, of course, being geometry. So you always choose your geometry. The next is your direction. So you would choose one of these lines. It'll go that specific direction. And then you can choose a second line and go that specific direction. So as you can see here, it's going the wrong way. So this flip, which is 2 arrows, it may be different depending on your software, will allow me to flip the features so that it'll fit in what you want to do. Alternatively speaking, there's sometimes is some additional options we can do here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually change the quantity to 5 and 5. So when you have it just as associative instead of fitted, you'd actually have to choose the spacing of the pattern so that it'll fit whatever way you want. If you do fitted, what you'd essentially do is you'd state the dimensioning. So I know that it's 3/4 of an inch away from the face, and I know that this is 5 by 5. So I can essentially say 5 minus 1.5 and do the same thing here. And it'll essentially make it fit within that window of the sizing you want. Both work great. The other thing you can do is suppress features. So as soon as you do that, it'll disappear. It's a handy little tool to do, but we're just going to leave it as is. Actually, I'll do the center one just so you can see what it looks like. So essentially it just makes it a hidden feature. So you can't use it when you do extrusions. Next, once you're done the pattern, you can just use an extrusion and then you can choose which ones you want. It can be a little bit time consuming here, but essentially you can choose all the pieces you want. And then we can make it cut through by, let's say, 1/2 inch. And that is essentially how you use the sketch-based version of the rectangular pattern. Now let's go to the other side of this and do the feature-based. So as you can see on the back here, we have a square instead of a circle. It's 3/4 by 3/4 and it's 3/16 spacing. We're now going to just do a quick extrusion cut. And now we have that feature done. So we're now going to use the rectangular feature pattern. We're going to choose the feature. You can choose several features. In this case, I just want the one. Or you can do whole solid pattern. So if I did a solid pattern, it would just choose the whole body, as opposed to doing a feature, which just chooses one of the features, which you can choose either on the model or on your tree. The next thing you can do is you're going to choose your directions. So in this case, I'm going to go this way, and I'm going to go this way. So you can see that it's essentially going the wrong way for the second pattern. So I'm just going to use the flip feature, very similar to the other one in the sketch way. And then I'm going to change some of the dimensioning here. So instead of 1 inch, I'm going to make it 0.875 and 0.875. Now I can state that I want to have a pattern of 5 and 5, and it is now spaced out. So this is using the methodology of spacing. You can also use distance. So if I know that it's 3/16 of a gap here and here, I can actually state 5 inches minus 3/16 minus 3/16. Oops, did that wrong. And you can see that it actually is going to space it out that full distance of what I stated. However, if I stated 0.75 times 5, you can see it's going to have it more spaced out. So it's based on how long you want this to be gapped out. So that's just a couple different ways of utilizing this. The other thing I'm going to quickly note is there's a mid-plane feature, and what that does is it actually takes the feature you're choosing and making it the mid-plane. So then it would keep doing the quantities on both sides. So if I make this 6, it'll essentially do it on whichever side makes the most sense for it. So it's going to add it onto this side, and then if I made this 7, it's going to add it to the other side. So again, these are just some different options you can use for doing those features. I'm going to make that back to 5, and then I'm going to click OK. There's some additional features in rectangular patterns. They're more advanced, and I may go into that in another video. The last thing I just wanted to quickly note, and this is why I prefer the feature version versus the sketch version, is I can look at the rectangular pattern in my design tree. I can expand it, and I can actually look at every single feature. And if I wanted to suppress a feature, I can find it, right click it, and then click suppress. However, if I want to bring it back, I can just right click it again and then unsuppress it. And that's just a great way of having more control over your patterns, but still having it there in case you want to keep it, as opposed to the other way where you'd have to go into the extrusion itself and then add it. So for me, I just prefer it as it has more control. So hopefully that helped. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Otherwise, this is Tyler with 3D Printosaur. I hope you have a great day.